everybody trying to be a victim. Like, what's this girl, Meghan Markle? Seemed like a nice lady, just complaining. I was like, didn't she hit the light skin lottery? And still going on complaining, acting all dumb like she don't know nothing. Going on Oprah, I didn't know. I had no idea how racist they were. It's the royal family. You didn't Google these motherfuckers?
It opened just like any other comedy special. The lights dimmed, the audience roared with excitement, and Chris Rock strode confidently into the spotlight. But what followed wasn't comedy at all. It was a ruthless takedown played out on stage for the world to see. And the person at the center of it all, Meghan Markle herself.
Biggest addiction in America is attention. We are addicted to attention. Easiest way to get attention is to be a victim.
There was no slow lead-in, no soft touch. Chris Rock went straight for the jugular. In less than a single minute, he flipped the narrative completely, turning Meghan from the so-called victim of the press into the biggest punchline of the decade.
They're so racist, they're so racist. Some of the she went through was not racism. It was just some in-law. Because she's complaining, I'm like, what the is she talking about? No, they're so racist. They wanted to know how brown the baby's gonna be. I'm like, that's not racist. Because even black people want to know.
And here's what made it truly brutal. It wasn't even his sharpest joke. The real damage came in the moments of silence that followed each punchline when the audience paused, let it sink in, and then realized with a jolt, yes, he was absolutely right. That sting hit harder than the laughter ever could.
What is she talking about? She didn't know. It's the royal family. They're the original racists.
For years, Meghan crafted the image of the sympathetic outsider, the underdog who just couldn't grasp the royal system. But in a single set, Chris Rock shattered that narrative, flipping the script completely. He exposed her not as the victim, but as the opposite, entitled Calculating and Chasing the Very Fame She Claimed to Loathe. And that was only the opening strike. What followed wasn't harmless teasing, it was a chain reaction that set the tone for everything that came next. It all ignited the moment Rock declared to the world that Meghan Markle was no Cinderella.
Send up pathetic pictures. This is me eating sushi. Like me. This is me 25 years ago when I was hot. Like me. Oh, it's fucking sad.
The thing about Meghan's public image is that it rested on one fragile idea that she was blindsided by the heavy weight of royal life, that she was the innocent Hollywood actress wandering into a palace like a fairy tale princess, only to find herself trapped in a cold and cruel world. It's a compelling story until someone finally dares to call it what it really is. Nothing more than pure fiction.
Hey, it's the husband formerly known as Prince. Any luck getting a job?
Oh, they had me driving for Uber Eats, but there were too many damn rules. Don't touch the food, don't taste the food, drive on the road.
I'm sorry, Rowdy Weddy.
Chris Rock didn't dance around Meghan's story. He torched it completely. He compared her supposed ignorance of the royal family to a basketball player claiming they'd never even heard of the NBA, and the audience erupted with laughter. It was sharp, it was simple, and most of all, it was impossible to argue with. In that instant, the carefully crafted illusion shattered. Because let's be honest, Meghan didn't just stumble blindly into royalty. She studied it, she knew it, and she dated a prince for years before stepping inside those palace walls. When she finally walked in, it wasn't with confusion, it was with her eyes wide open and a camera-ready smile, fully aware of the stage she was stepping onto.
She was hunting for a man in England. She wanted wealth and she wanted fame, and she targeted Harry.
And Chris Rock? He handed the audience exactly what they'd been waiting for, permission to finally say out loud what they'd secretly been thinking all along. That's the real power of a joke like his. It doesn't just make you laugh, it rips the mask off piece by piece. Suddenly, the crowd realized maybe they'd been played this whole time. And the most brutal part, Meghan wasn't even in the room to defend herself. But she didn't need to be, because from that moment forward, the poor Meghan storyline was dead in the water. Every late-night host, every satirist, every Twitter account with a Wi-Fi signal could smell the blood in the water, and they dove right in. What Chris Rock managed in under 5 minutes would take Meghan's PR team years, maybe even decades to repair. Because a perfect roast doesn't just land, it explodes like a bomb.
What is she talking about? about? I didn't know. That's like marrying into the Budweiser family and going, they drink a lot.
Just hours after Chris Rock's special aired, his Meghan takedown was impossible to escape. TikTok loops ran nonstop, Twitter was flooded with clips, and YouTube was packed with breakdowns, complete with freeze frames of audience members doubled over in laughter. And then the comedy world piled on. In Britain especially, the gloves came off fast. Comics mocked Meghan and Harry as total contradictions, hungry for status while pretending to reject it, and cashing in massive Netflix checks while insisting it was all for purpose.
Babe, time to do our daily $250,000 sponsored Instagram post.
I shouldn't have left the made-up nonsense.
The Duchess of Sussex shared a photo of herself cuddling her daughter on Instagram and a never-before-seen picture from her bird.
The jokes from British comics were dry, razor-sharp, and laced with the kind of disdain only lifelong royal watchers could deliver. And across the Atlantic, the late-night hosts wasted no time joining in. They smelled the same blood in the water and tore into Meghan and Harry with punchlines about their endless brand deals and their constant self-pity, turning the couple into a running gag on both sides of the ocean.
We want privacy! We want privacy! Well, I just think some people might say that your Instagram-loving wife actually doesn't want her privacy. How dare you, sir? My Instagram-loving wife has always wanted her privacy!
The now infamous "We want privacy" line was hammered so relentlessly that it became a punchline in itself. You could almost picture the palace chuckling from behind closed doors as the world laughed along.
Markle, the only thing she found was a rich, famous husband.
The nearest thing Meghan Markle ever had to a billion-dollar idea was marrying a prince.
The worst part? The jokes started blending together. Comedians who had never even shared a stage were suddenly firing off identical punchlines about Meghan. That's not coincidence. That's the moment a narrative collapses completely. By the end of the week, Meghan wasn't seen as a misunderstood duchess or a former actress anymore. She was the comedy world's newest running gag, a living headline whose contradictions were just too easy, too obvious, and far too funny for any comic to resist. The roast had gone global, and once it caught fire, there was no stopping it.
The way to have a snack is to take the snack out of one bag and then move them into another bag and then label this new bag, even though this bag already has a label on it. Tap water!
If Chris Rock lit the match, the internet was the one that poured gasoline on it. Within days, Meghan's most awkward moments weren't just being laughed at, they were being traded like viral currency. TikTok creators went wild, stitching her interviews with clips of exaggerated eye rolls, mocking voiceovers, and laugh tracks lifted straight from sitcoms, turning her every word into a punchline the whole world could share.
My name is Meghan Sussex now. Call me Meghan Markle one more time, Mindy Kaling.
That bizarre snack rebagging scene from her Netflix show, pure meme gold, the endless celebrity name drops, quickly chopped into compilations with the biting label Meghan's imaginary friends. Twitter, meanwhile, went savage, screenshots of her glaring contradictions, pleading for privacy one moment, then staging glossy paparazzi shots the next, spread like wildfire across the platform. And users didn't just share them, they weaponized them, pairing each image with captions so brutal they didn't even need punchlines to land the hit.
God, that hat. Oh, God. He's so hot. Look at him. Isn't Prince Harry? I mean, she bagged a fox.
On YouTube, creators went forensic dissecting Meghan's interviews frame by frame. They highlighted the rehearsed expressions, the carefully timed pauses, and the lines that sounded less like honesty and more like PR copy gone wrong. Suddenly, Meghan wasn't viewed as a duchess bravely telling her truth. She was recast as a character in a never-ending soap opera. And the audience? They weren't sympathetic anymore. They were laughing, mocking, and treating her every word as entertainment.
You have been working so hard.
Oh my God.
You're probably the hardest worker in the world. I don't know anybody that's worked as hard as you.
I don't know, I'm just doing my best.
The most dangerous part? Memes move faster than any damage control. By the time Meghan's team could even draft a rebuttal, the next viral punchline had already taken over. The internet wasn't just laughing at her anymore. It was stripping away what little dignity she still had. And if the internet was a wildfire, late-night TV was the flamethrower. Night after night, Meghan and Harry became the go-to gag, the easiest laugh in the room. Hosts didn't even need a clever setup anymore. The audience was already primed to laugh the second their names were mentioned. On Saturday Night Live, Meghan and Harry weren't painted as brave rebels or tragic victims. They were mocked as a bumbling royal dropout and his fame-chasing wife. The sketches showed them stumbling through a world they clearly didn't understand, yet were desperate to monetize at every turn. And the most cutting part, the skits were exaggerated, yes, but only slightly. The punchlines felt a little too close to reality.
ABC has announced plans for a spin-off to the hit series Suits, which will be set in Los Angeles. It will focus on Meghan Markle's character's struggle to balance her legal career while also caring for an unemployed immigrant.
Jimmy Fallon wasted no time targeting the most absurd details, like Meghan's claim that she and Harry were secretly married before the royal wedding. He spun it into a punchline that had the audience roaring, because the contradiction was just too easy to mock.
The big revelation was that Meghan said that she and Harry actually got married 3 days before the royal wedding. Great, now I feel like a fool for waking up at 5 a.m. to watch two married people get married.
Harry's strange oversharing in his memoir and their constant habit of spinning everyday inconveniences into full-blown trauma became late-night comedy gold. Even Stephen Colbert, a host not usually known for being savage, couldn't resist taking shots. His lines landed so sharply that the audience winced and laughed all at once, proof that even the friendliest corners of comedy were no longer giving Meghan and Harry a free pass.
Meghan Markle has finally revealed why she and Prince Harry call each other M and H. What could it be? A mystery for the ages.
The real power of late-night mockery lies in repetition. The same jokes are told night after night, host after host, until they stop sounding like comedy and start sinking in as truth. What begins as a laugh slowly transforms into a narrative that feels undeniable.
I'm going to succeed in America. I need a lifestyle brand of creams and supplements. Gwyneth Paltrow has Goop, Kourtney Kardashian has Poosh, and Jamie Lee Curtis has Poogert. Now I've got mine, Meg Goo, celebrating the sexy earth goddess in all of us.
Within just weeks, Meghan stopped being a controversial figure and became something far worse, a permanent fixture in the late-night comedy script. She was locked in as a recurring character in an endless roast, one that no amount of PR spin could erase. On smaller club stages, comedians didn't even pretend to be subtle anymore. They went straight for the jugular. Simon Brodkin shredded Meghan's Netflix documentary, calling it nothing more than a 6-hour infomercial for self-pity. He mocked its stage sincerity, its melodramatic music, and its desperate attempt to pass off image management as authenticity.
Careful, Harry. I spilled some essential oils on the floor.
He tore into Meghan's claim that bowing to the Queen or curtsying was some sort of traumatic ordeal, mocking it by comparing it to whining about taking your shoes off at the airport. The crowd roared at how ridiculous it sounded. Meanwhile, other comics zeroed in on Harry's own words from Spare, twisting his most cringeworthy oversharing into punchlines that painted him as pampered, out of touch, and hopelessly sheltered from reality.
I don't know, Megs. I've tried every career there is. Prince, Hitler, maybe I'm just not qualified for anything.
That's not true. You're a great husband, a good-hearted man. You've got big, muscular teeth.
Thanks, Meg. And I guess now I'm qualified for this. Unemployment!
But Meghan was always the main target. Her carefully polished soundbites were mocked as nothing more than Oscar speeches delivered to an audience of one. And in comedy clubs, there's no network filter, no polite applause. The laughs are raw, loud, and cutting. Every vicious one-liner spread online within hours, fueling the public with fresh ammo to keep the ridicule going strong. By the time those sets went viral, Meghan's image wasn't just damaged, it was shredded beyond repair. And the most telling part, nobody in those crowds wanted to see it pieced back together.
H was H was at the H has been as H is, and H called me with H, and H was out, and with H.
When South Park comes for you, there's no recovery. The infamous Worldwide Privacy Tour episode didn't just poke fun, it cemented Meghan and Harry's hypocrisy into pop culture forever. The cartoon versions of the couple marched around with megaphones, screaming for privacy while flying on a private jet. It was a visual gag so sharp it needed no explanation at all. The image alone told the story. The satire hit hard because it was precise, capturing every contradiction the couple had ever made. in just 20 savage minutes, South Park delivered a roast that replayed endlessly online, making sure the joke would never die.
We want privacy! We want privacy! It's so quiet and empty here. If we moved her, then people would think we're really serious about wanting to be normal. It does seem perfect, doesn't it?
And it didn't stop there. Other shows jumped in too. Family Guy cut them down with a brutal 2-second throwaway line, mocking Meghan and Harry for raking in millions while doing absolutely nothing. Short, sharp, and devastating, it landed harder than a full late-night monologue because it said everything in just one brutal punch.
Millions from Netflix for no one knows what.
Put it with the rest of them.
Animated satire cuts deeper than live comedy because once you're turned into a caricature, that version of you lingers in the public's mind far longer than reality ever will. The damage isn't just about jokes, it's psychological. When audiences laugh harder at your cartoon self than your real one, you've lost control of your image completely. By the time the credits rolled on South Park, Meghan wasn't just mocked, she was frozen in pop culture as the symbol of performative victimhood, and no carefully worded press statement, no glossy exclusive interview could ever erase that cartoon version burned into memory.
Pretty girl, actress, influencer, victim.
Yeah, that's totally me! What matters is what we have on the inside.
Bill Maher didn't need props, skits, or animated caricatures to make his point. He came armed with something far more dangerous, cold, cutting logic. And when he laid it out, the audience couldn't laugh it off. They had to face it.
You don't call another human being Your Highness?
While other comedians poked fun at Meghan's quirks and contradictions, Bill Maher went for the bigger target. He dissected the entire strategy. He exposed the hypocrisy at its core, wanting all the perks of royalty without shouldering the responsibility, chasing fame while dodging scrutiny, and demanding the spotlight without ever facing the heat that comes with it. It wasn't just a joke, it was a dismantling.
Complaining about your hard life, and you're so privileged. It's just so weird. It's ridiculous.
In Maher's words, this wasn't even a scandal. It was a business model designed to collapse under its own weight. He contrasted Harry and Meghan's endless stream of grievances with the stoic silence of Queen Elizabeth, a woman who faced decades of relentless press without ever turning it into a Netflix special. The comparison was brutal. One side stood dignified, the other looked desperate. And in that moment, the contrast spoke louder than any punchline ever could.
Who destroyed her in-laws' family, whose own family doesn't like her, whose the in-laws obviously don't like her, the public doesn't like her. She's stuck because she was an actress who became a real princess, who wants to be an actress again, but has to continue to pretend to be a real princess.
Maher's sharpest blow came with one devastating line. The world isn't obligated to play along with your personal drama. That single statement ripped the victim narrative to pieces and laid bare the entitlement hiding underneath. No shouting, no gimmicks, just cold, blunt truth that left the audience nodding in agreement instead of laughing. By the time he finished, Maher hadn't simply roasted Meghan, he had diagnosed her entire brand, and his verdict was damning. A self-inflicted implosion, dressed up in a royal title and sold to the world as tragedy.
Today, Suits actress Meghan Markle married some unemployed dude who still lives with his grandma.
By this point, Meghan's image wasn't just dented, it was shattered into thousands of memes, punchlines, and one-liners ricocheting across the globe. What began as a single Chris Rock joke had snowballed into a cultural verdict, handed down not in courtrooms but on comedy stages and social feeds. And the most brutal part? The laughter outlived the news cycle. Even when Meghan and Harry tried to pivot toward charity projects or polish their image with glossy interviews, the public could only hear those echoes of ridicule. Every statement came across as rehearsed. Every photo op looked staged. The roast had become the permanent filter through which the world saw them, and that's the danger of being reduced to comedy shorthand.
That face, she's not happy.
Oh, yeah, it's so hard to be pretty. So your life is so hard, you're a fucking princess.
Once your name becomes shorthand for performance, hypocrisy, and pop culture mockery, it's finished. Politicians can bounce back from scandals, celebrities can recover from PR disasters. But when your entire brand is reduced to a smirk and a punchline, there's no rebuilding it. You can only live beneath it. The modern-day court jesters had spoken, and their verdict was final. Meghan's story wasn't taken from her by the palace, the press, or even Chris Rock. It was stolen by the world's laughter. and laughter never gives back what it takes away. That's the brutal truth of this entire saga. It was never just about one joke or one comedy special. Chris Rock may have lit the spark, but the firestorm spread far beyond the stand-up stage. Every contradiction, every exaggerated grievance, every desperate attempt to stay relevant, they've all been locked into the permanent public record, etched forever in the form of punchlines.
Prove that you're enough. You prove that you're pretty enough. You prove that you're smart enough. You prove that you're a good wife or a good friend. Or
Meghan Markle sitting here talking about, like, yeah, I gotta prove that I'm pretty. And while she's a pretty woman sitting across from a bratwurst. Yes.
But here's where it gets even uglier, because Meghan's drama isn't just burning bridges with the public, it's torching the very relationships that once gave her and Harry the credibility they can't ever buy back. And one of the most damning examples, the collapse of Sentebale, the charity Harry once described as his life's work. If you thought the comedy world was harsh, just wait until you see what happened when Sophie Chandalka, one of the most respected figures connected to that mission, finally said she'd had enough. This wasn't just a quiet disagreement, it was a thunderous slam heard around the world. And it left Harry absolutely fuming, furious that the foundation he held so close was unraveling in public view.